Padcast in association with TC Cars. TC Cars won Birmingham's Taxis 2019. Book by app or by phone today. So, it's Padcast in association with TC Cars. Today it's going to be like a roundup of like fight camp. You know, it's been a month since it started and now it's all over. So, we're going to start with week one. And week one was the Ted Cheeseman versus Sam Edgington card, but we'll start from the bottom of the card and then we'll work our way up to the main events. So we had Jordan Gill versus Reece Bellotti. It was a unanimous decision on Jordan Gill's part, so Jordan Gill won that, and that was in the featherweight contest. So Jordan Gill's career is firmly back on track then, guys. So and then we had Dalton Smith versus Nathan Bennett. So this was like, I think it's Dalton Smith's first real test, I'd say. So he won that, and that was a KO in the 5th round. After that we had Fabio Wardley versus Simon Vallily. So this was like a bit of a mad one because you've got Fabio Wardley, who's he's very inexperienced. I think he's only had a few fights. And you had Simon Vallily, who I'm sure had a really big amateur career, and then he hasn't really lived up to what he was supposed to in the heavyweight division. So Wardley, won that by knockout in the 3rd round, which no one really expected, but that was a good scalp, and now I think he's only going to go on to bigger things. So that's a good one. And then James Tennyson versus Gavin Gwynn, and this was for the British lightweight title. I think James Tennyson just showed a bit too much for Gwynn, and so that is he won that by a knockout in round 6. And then for the main event, we had Ted Cheeseman versus Sam Edgington. Now, me being from Birmingham, Sam Edgington, clearly I wanted him to win, but Ted Cheeseman coming off a few losses, it's a really good fight. It was a really good fight. It was one of them fights that you could watch again and again. Definitely a fight of the year contender. Some say Sam won, some say Ted won. Now Ted has Sam's old position, and he could move on to bigger things. And Sam, I think, might want the rematch against Ted just to put things wrong, so maybe he can get his spot back. But that was an amazing fight. I did enjoy that. That was a big one. I did really enjoy that. It's probably a fight I'm going to watch back again. I've watched it twice, actually, because when I went to work the following day, we was talking about it, and a lot of people have difference in opinions, and I just didn't know what to think. When I saw Ted winning some rounds on the night, and then when I watched it back, I seen Sam winning them rounds, and then vice versa. So it's quite annoying, really. But I would love to see that rematch. Alright, and so the next card we had the Terry Harper versus Tasha Jonas. So 2 ladies headlining the card. You got to say that's a really good thing to happen nowadays. Women's boxing. Eddie Hearn's on about not even calling it women's boxing anymore. I think he just it's just boxing, because they're fighting just as good as the men now. You can't take it away from them. They have shorter rounds, but the short rounds, and you will see big bursts in the rounds. So I think that's definitely a thing to look out for in the future. A lot more women headlining cards and only getting better fights. So we had Chris Billam-Smith versus Nathan Fawley. So Billam-Smith retained his Commonwealth Cruiserweight title. It was a 2nd round TKO. And then we had Hopi Price versus Johnny Phillips, and then Price took that on points, so that went the full distance. We had Anthony Fowler versus Adam Harper. Fowler wins that by 7th round technical knockout. So now Anthony Fowler, I think he's just trying to build back up, get back to where he was, and I think he's only getting better and better. But Terry Harper versus Tasha Jonas, now that was a fight. I've got to say, some people had it one way, some people had it the other. A draw can only mean that we could have that fight again. I would love to see that fight again. That was an absolute barnstorm. I mean, if there was an advert for women's boxing, I'd say that would be it. I mean, that was amazing. Two, I wouldn't even say these aren't the most known females in boxing, but these are, two very good females in boxing. I'd say Tasha Jonas, coming towards the end of her career, put on a performance of her life, I'd say. And then Terry Harper, amazing. I really enjoyed that. So I'd love to see that fight again. And then, so moving on to week 3, we had John Doherty versus Anthony Fox. So Doherty won that by technical knockout in the 7th round. And then we had Kieran Conway versus Nav Mansouri. So Conway wins the WBA Intercontinental Super Welterweight title. Yeah, so he took that. And then you had Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball. Now this is like the 3rd fight down the card, and this got massive, coverage. I think at the beginning of it, everyone had Shannon Courtney to win. I think that was definitely the opinion of most people at the time. There we go. And then a few weeks down the line, Rachel Ball, I think she became odds-on favourite to win. But Rachel Ball took that points win. A lot of people say Shannon Courtney won it. A lot of people say Rachel Ball won it. I think this is now like where Rachel Ball can actually make a name in boxing now, and it's only be fair to say, because she's a really lovely girl. If you watch her interviews, very humble, very really nice. She never had a bad word to say about Shannon, even though she was going to fight her. So what I would say is maybe that might be a rematch. I wouldn't say Shannon Courtney should take that straight away. Maybe have one fight in between and then take that. That might give them a way to build a profile. You could build that. Maybe that could be a main card, or one of the smaller shows. Like a York Hall show, sort of like that. If things get back to normal. And then the next fight after that, we had Zalfa Barrett versus Eric Donovan. So I didn't really know who Eric Donovan was. I actually had a little read through and had a look at his amateur career. So he apparently had a really good amateur career. Hasn't fought for a few years. I think he retired, and then this was like his last hurrah to see if he could actually, still had it in him. But Zalfa Barrett, on the other hand, is someone who's coming up. He's making a name for himself and proven. Barrett wins the IBF Intercontinental Super Featherweight title, and it was an 8th round KO. Now that is a massive, win for Zalfa Barrett, and I think that will only propel him on now to the, big fights, and hopefully that's gonna, take him further and further. And that fight being on this sort of show, this press, the press that these shows get are absolutely massive. Hence I'm sitting here talking about it, and I'm just a little podcaster. There we go. And then we had Felix Cash versus Jason Wellborn, and this was the main event. It was a good fight. It was a really good fight. Now, Jason Wellborn has been around for quite a while. I mean, he went up and down in weights. I'm just looking at his picture now. It says Paddy on his shorts, which is a mad one. That's my name. And then so against Felix Cash versus Jason Wellborn. So it was a real good fight. So. Cash, I gotta say, looked very good in that fight. I think he's gonna be, a big name in the future. This was like his breakout fight, first headline show. I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure it is. But to headline a show like this, when having boxing come back, I think is amazing. So well done, Felix. You've done well there. So he's retained. So he's got the Commonwealth middleweight title. So I think having a title now, he's retained his title. But having a title will only propel him onto big things, as well as being on this show at the same time. He's only made it bigger for him. So a bit of an unlucky fight with Jason Wellborn. I like him. I'm sure he had a big fight in America. Who was it against? I think it was. I could be wrong. I think was it one of the Charlos. But like when he fought out in America, I thought, he could do this. This could be his chance. But he's a good character, Wellborn. I do like him, and he's like local to where I'm from also. So you gotta support your own. Especially we're from Birmingham. We support Birmingham City, don't we? There we go. All right, and so the last fight. This was last night. I actually I had a job on in the morning for mine and my cousin's company, and then I had work in the afternoon, and then we had a boss's a boss's birthday party at like a restaurant. So like last night was very busy, and I managed to watch a few of the fights last night. Also watch the ones that were on Channel 5. So I'm gonna also cover one of the fights that was on Channel 5 last night while I'm here. But yeah, so we'll start at the bottom of this card. So I didn't manage to watch all of these fights, but I've caught up on some of them. So I didn't watch this fight, but it was Jack Cullen versus Zach Chelli. It was a draw. I honestly couldn't tell you what happened in that fight, but it was a draw. And then you had Alan Babic versus Sean Dale Winters. Now this had a little bit of needle. So Alan Babic is a Croatian, I think, and he had an alright amateur career, I'd say. And as he was, turning pro, I think Dillian White has signed him up. So Dillian White signed him up. I'm sure Dean White's part of that setup. And yeah, so he trains with Dillian White. He's always doing sparring, rounds after rounds after rounds, and he's like a scary character, Babic is. I call him Alan the Savage Babic. So yeah, I'm really enjoying him. But so you had he's against Sean Dale Winters. Now I think Sean Dale Winters, I'm sure he lost to Joseph Parker, and now Sean Dale Winters was giving it the large, saying, yeah, I've got this, I'm gonna beat you, you're nothing, you have only had a few fights, because he's only had a few fights, Babic, and Babic was like, you're underestimating me, and it got quite aggressive. There was on about taking it outside. it was a bit of needle anyway. So yeah, so that ended in the second round. Babic absolutely battered him. He didn't stop. He literally, from the word go, he was going for the knockout, and that's what he said he was going to do. That's what he done, and yeah, that worked. Then, on to the next fight. This is a good card. I'm going through and I'm thinking the next fight's good, even the next fight, and then the next. So here we go. So the next fight was Luther Clay versus Chris Congo. Now, that was a good fight. It was a bit... There were parts in it where I thought, Luther Clay. I thought he might have had the knockout there, with like sort of like the card that we're about to watch afterwards. The fight we're about to watch at the end of the card, talk about at the end of the card, sorry. And then, so he fought Chris Congo, and Chris Congo knocked him out in the 9th round. There was a bit of needle there. Luther Clay was very calm, very collective before the fight. He was, not aggressive at all, whereas Chris Congo, it seemed like, really had, a bit of spite in that fight. And so Chris Congo come away with a fight. So he's got a WBO global welterweight title, so that's a title under his belt now, so title under his waist, so he'll now be able to move on to bigger things, and hopefully, someone want to win that off him, so make some bigger fights for him. So the next fight, we have Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon. Now I watched this when I got back straight after the do last night, so it was a bit inebriated. And so I watched that, and I should have watched it back before I'd done this podcast, but I thought it was just a brawl, and I think like Delphine Persoon was brawling, like attacking, but not getting the better shots off, whereas Katie Taylor was more counter-punching, but getting the better shots off. I think that's what won it for Katie Taylor, but I would say I need to watch that back, because I don't know, at the time I thought Delphine Persoon was all over her, running her ragged, but I think Katie Taylor's slipping, dodging, hitting the correct punches, not wasting punches. I think that's what got her the win in that one. And then for the main event, this, guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm still shocked right now. Like I love Dillian White. And, I like Alexander Povetkin, but you know, Dillian White, he's got a good story, you know, he's a good lad, he's a kind person as well. You can tell, like, the way he looks after, you know, his people in his stable, the way he's looked after, you know, Alan, let's say, as well, Alan Babbage as well. And I just think he's just a real nice guy, you know, watching his interviews with the way he is with Cougar and Cassius, and I think, you know, it's only nice that. And I just thought he's waited all this time to have the fight with either Wilder, but then Wilder last night with Fury, and like he's just waited so long. And so this fight, I mean, he didn't lose a round, did he? He was literally beating Alexander Povetkin. Like, I mean, talking to a friend on the phone, Dave actually, you could see he was just saying no, 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 and but I was thinking he might be saying no because I ain't letting this get to me. No, that's what Povetkin was saying. And it looked like after the end of the first round, he was really huffing and puffing. And then as it got on, he got knocked down a few times. And I think he got knocked down in the fourth round twice. I think he got knocked down once earlier on, but he got knocked down in the fourth round twice. And you could see it was like, this is it now. But Dillian White didn't step on the gas to actually finish him off. So, and then fifth round started, and as even the commentator was saying, does Povetkin have it in his legs anymore? And then he says, you can't count him out. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? I could not believe it. I was so shocked to see Dillian White on the floor, not just knocked down, not just like out, but he was out cold. He never got a count. I mean, I don't get, that's what I was going to say actually, I don't get this deal with a count, because you remember when Tyson Fury got knocked down against Wilder, he got knocked down, and then once he got knocked down, he was out for, you know, a good, 5-6 seconds, then he sat up, got up, carried on, didn't win the round, but he won the rest of the round. And so yeah, but there was no count out with Dillian White, like nothing against him, he was knocked out, he was helped over straight away, and it's such a shame. But Alexander Povetkin, you know, all credit to him, he absolutely smashed it. You can't, you know, knock him. He was getting beat up every round, and then he just pulls that left uppercut. Was it left? I'm not sure again, but I'm sure he dropped either a right jab or a...
Padcast in association with TC Cars. TC Cars won Birmingham's Taxis 2019. Book by app or by phone today.
So yeah, hit him with a left jab and then a right uppercut, and it absolutely knocked him out. It was shocking. I can't believe it. Hopefully, you know, they get that back on, and that only leaves it, you know, open for Joshua and Fury to have that fight now, and then hopefully have the Undisputed sorted after they've got Wilder and Pulev out the way, and then that'd be done, wouldn't it? And then Dillian White, if he has a rematch with Povetkin, then he'll get his chance again, and that'll come. But I think Dillian White will come back, don't worry. He's, you know, here for the long run. Still got, you know, 6-7 years left in him, innit? But yeah, so the other fight that happened last night, it was Shakan Peters versus Chad Sugden, and yeah, well done. Shakan won the light heavyweight British title. Now, you come on, every boxer who's British, who goes pro, wants to win the British title. Shakan's done it. Now, only can go on to bigger things. He'll have that, try and defend that maybe 3 times, win that outright, then go on to European and then Worlds. But yeah, amazing Shakan. Congratulations on that, mate. Well done. And that concludes the fight camp, guys. Well, the fight camp's done. Well, for this year maybe. The next year, I think they're going to bring it back, and hopefully we'll see more of this. But I think soon we'll start getting back to normal. Start having, you know, hopefully get the small halls on, and we can have the bigger ones maybe when the world gets back to normal. Hopefully, but yeah, gotta say, big congratulations to Matchroom. They smashed it with Fight Camp. The show they put on, huge. Can't give them any more congratulations on that. And I just want to say also a massive thank you for everyone who's been listening to the podcast, downloading the podcast on iTunes and on Spotify and all of them stores, and who's been watching our videos on YouTube, on Facebook. Just search Padcast. Obviously you're going to get podcasts come up everywhere, but the more and more it's search for, you'll come up for you. But guys, I really do appreciate all the support, and I just want to say have a nice day and take care. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like down below for all the latest boxing news.